Welcome to Le Grand Voyage with Chateau Melodique La Gravière. What's the worst thing that can happen for a winemaker? There are a few contenders, but in Bordeaux, the one winemakers probably fear the most is frost. There are many people who still remember the devastating night of the 18th of February 1956 and a series of other nights of frosts that destroyed vineyards across the entire region. A later frost in the year might kill emerging buds or flowers or even grapes. This early frost was so severe, whole plots of vineyards died as the ice burrowed into the bark of vines and split them open. It was an extraordinary event. France, indeed Europe, had experienced nothing like it since 1709, and that was when thousands had died across Europe because of the cold. The frost in 1956 might have lasted a few nights, but the cold lasted all year. Well, what grapes did survive were harvested in an icy October. But the impact was felt for many years. The crop wasn't just affected in that year, in 1956. A big frost like this reduced the crop for years to come, and the effects were felt in the finances of Chateau for decades. Some went out of business, many struggled to survive. Whole areas had to be replanted, and the impact had been so widespread that the very nature of Bordeaux and its wines was affected. You could even say that although it was a devastating event in the short term, in the longer term it kind of had its advantages. Some of the vine varieties weren't particularly well suited to the terroir or the soil, so they were replaced with better ones. One of the biggest losers in this time was Malbec, which had still been very widely planted. That was replaced broadly with Merlot, which ripened earlier and was better suited to the soils. As vineyard owners replanted, they did so also with much higher densities of vines. Planting each vine closer to its neighbours should increase quality in the wine, and this was a once-in-a-generation opportunity to get it right. The market had shifted too. People were drinking more red wine than white. So many white wine vineyards became red wine vineyards around this time, to the lasting disappointment of white Bordeaux fans like me. There was a silver lining, if you like, in a very dark cloud. Changing varieties, closer planting, more red, gave us many of the high-quality wines we have today. But these vineyards are still affected by frosts, although, fortunately, not as bad as 1956. 1991 was the second coldest vintage in recorded history. A frost struck on April the 21st as the vines were flowering and plunged to minus 15 degrees Celsius, that's about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. This killed the little young buds across the region before they had a chance to flower. For those buds that did survive, it was a rain-drenched harvest, and it made for many people in Bordeaux a year they sought to forget. Most recently, on Thursday, April the 27th in 2017, frost struck again. This time not quite as cold, it was minus 4 Celsius, that's what, 25 degrees Fahrenheit? But it was no less devastating, because it couldn't have come at a worse time. Bud break had just taken place and it killed the infant flowers. Whenever this happens, it's heartbreaking getting reports from individual chateaux and villages. A 25% loss, a 70% loss, in some cases in 2017 a 90% loss across vineyards. The effects are never uniform. Usually frost is worse in the north part and less severe in the south, but across the whole area, more than a third of all the wine can be lost. This is nature and working with nature, and winemaking's as much tragedy as comedy. Every day brings something new, and if it's not gel or frost, it can be grêle or hail. But that's for another day. For us, we should appreciate the work and the occasional heartbreak that goes into every bottle of Bordeaux. Join me again tomorrow for another tale from Le Grand Voyage.